For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com, on SoundCloud, on iTunes. Subscribe. That's all I can say. Wasn't the big thing a couple years ago? Follow me, like me, share me. I guess it still is. Anyway. You know, last week I did go on that rant about social media, and it was fun hearing your thoughts. And I've got to say, I love when people agree with me, of course, but I also love when people disagree with me, because people don't just disagree with you nowadays, they come out swinging and, like, personally attack you. So last time, I gave my thoughts about social media. I said how I felt parents were exploiting their kids on Halloween. It's just actually really all year round by posting so many pictures of their kids all the time, and the kids have no idea, but yet here I'm just putting it all out there for potentially perverts, like Subway pervert Jared Fogle, you know, getting off to pictures of your kids. And then I, at the end of the show, went on the rant about social media, how I don't feel that people care to know what I'm doing every step of the way. So I've got more thoughts about the internet and social media that we're going to talk about today, and then some Christmas shopping ideas for you, because, you know, we're coming to mid-November. If you're like me, you're still not going to start Christmas shopping for another month or so, and you want to get some ideas. Now, we're going to talk about a product that you actually need to order soon to get it in time for Christmas. And it's one of the companies that was featured on Shark Tank not too long ago, and we're going to follow up with them because they sent me some cool products, and we're going to talk about them coming up in just a little bit. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we've got some Scribble Dribble right after this.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Scribble Dribble brought to you by SpeakFreeWithJB.com.
Thank you.
Check out syndicated newspaper columnist Jeremy Bradley's rants and raves in his weekly news and entertainment columns.
Yay.
That's at SpeakFreeWithJB.com. Since he's paid to not shut up, God knows why. Once again, Jeremy Bradley.
Oh, I love the internet. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Well, I'm very fortunate because the internet has helped me become a very successful entrepreneur. Now, I've got, of course, my books. You've got Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, which is a commentary about your obnoxious cell phone use. Definitely a good Christmas gift, maybe a stocking stuffer. Pick one up for... This is the thing. It's good for the person in your life who's addicted to a phone, or if you're the one addicted to a phone, you want to have a laugh about your obsession with your mobile device. We've got our website up, actually. It's called, or the address is putdownyourdamnphone.com. Easy to remember, putdownyourdamnphone.com. It is also available on Amazon and iTunes, and I know Alex from Budsies, that's the company we're going to be talking about in just a few minutes, he loves my books. That's not to say that that's what gets you on our show. but it helps. Thank you, Alex, for checking out our book. So again, the internet, this is the really funny thing, because now when I go to, let's say, the MSN homepage or Yahoo or Google, everything is a list. 7 things you need to do right now, 10 things you need to cut out of your diet, 8 bad things that are happening when you eat mayonnaise, 6 reasons or alternatives you can use for eggs, 17 reasons to add more cucumbers to your diet. It's just why you should end your relationship right now. The internet is one big advice column, and I did some research not too long ago and found that you can actually make a lot of money just coming up with these lists. It's almost like the Letterman top 10 list. I'm just going to come up with a bunch of things that I'm going to rattle off, and I'm the authority because that's what I've said, and this is why you should do this stuff now. Which that's fine. If you believe in it and you want to have your life controlled by the internet, I was going to say more power to you. It would be less power to you now that I think about it, because you're putting your life in somebody else's hands. I don't get it. But it is sort of entertaining because it will also reaffirm. I've got this lemon water kick on the last little while. I bought some lemons, you slice them up, put them in the big pitcher of water, and it's just kind of a nice alternative to water. Definitely more healthy than Pepsi or Coke or any of those soft drinks. But of course I went to the internet and I typed in lemon water. This is how this rant started. I just wanted to find out, like maybe a recipe. I know you're laughing, a recipe for putting lemons in water. No, but how many should you put in what size of a pitcher or jug? So I went for that. But then that's where I see, the 12 benefits of doing this and 10 things that are going to improve after you do it. And what's funny though is, there's so many websites that are basically saying the exact same thing. So when I saw that one of them had 12 reasons and one of them had 10 reasons to do this and another one had 8 reasons, I'm just sitting there going, well, that poor bastard that only thought of the 8 tips, they should have just gone to one of these other people's websites and grabbed the other ones and had a bigger list at this point, right? The internet's all about stealing these days, you know that. So that's a little lemon water rant there. What else do I have? Because I've got so many. Yeah, so lists of what you should do. I'm neurotic with Post-it notes. And so, last week, when we were doing our rant about social media, I was writing all of these things during the break and then after the show because I was just on a roll and I was fired up and I wanted to talk more and more about it. But what I'm finding these days is that people are overly sensitive. You've probably heard, you've probably seen. Everything nowadays is racist, it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's just everything. And I worked with a girl one time she was a graphic designer, she was a lesbian, but everybody picked on her because she was a lesbian. She was going through trouble at home because she was a lesbian. So-and-so at work didn't like her because she's a lesbian. What's interesting, though, is that if you talked to so-and-so, they didn't even care about the lesbian thing at all. They just said that she was a bitch. That's why they didn't like her. But she's the victim for everything, and it's because she was a lesbian. And so now with the presidential campaign, you're hearing that Donald Trump is sexist and he's not fair to women and all these other things. But at the end of the day, you know what? Comedy back in the day was actually, I think, raunchier when you had your Andrew Dice Clays and you had you had everybody that was just incredibly offensive. Now, these days, those comics have a niche following, right? They're very, very segmented in the people that enjoy that sort of raunch or filthy humor. Now, humor is more about sex and kind of that shock value. But you've still got to be careful. We had Chris D'Elia on our radio show. Actually, we even had Russell Peters and a couple other comedians several weeks into this podcast when we started doing it. And I asked about that. I said, why are we so overly sensitive these days? Just everything is offensive. Everything can be taken the wrong way. And Russell had said, you have to look at the intent of comedy. The intent of comedy is to make you laugh, not to hurt you. And so we see commonplace where, black people can make jokes about black people and use that word, right? Nobody else is allowed to use it. And it's the same thing with gays, where I can say fag and queer and all those things, if I'm part of that community, and it's not offensive. But yet somebody else on the outside cannot use it. So what is that differentiating factor? What makes it okay? If I were to say that N-word right now, and I was doing my syndicated radio shows, I'd be canceled, I'd be off the air, and I don't think it would be impossible for me to get a job in radio at that point, but it's going to be very difficult. So you've got somebody like, let's say, Whoopi Goldberg on The View, who will say it on daytime television. Now, they will still bleep her, but is she getting reprimanded and getting fired for saying it? She's a black woman. She's still on the show. She hasn't been fired from it. So it's interesting that these, you can call them double standards. I think I will. But at the end of the day, are people just being overly critical? Are we really? If you think about it, if one of your best friends made the joke to you, about you, or whatever it is, would you take offense to it? If it's a coworker who's not as close to you and they make that joke, are you going to be offended by it? Would love to hear your thoughts. Send me an email. live@jbonair.com is my email address. live@jbonair.com. And you can also tweet us. We are at The Scribble Show on Twitter. That's at The Scribble Show. Again, I love hearing your opinions. Like I said, it's great when you agree with me, but it's even better when you disagree with me. But also, be grown up about it. Don't disagree with me and call me names and call me a dick and say all these things, because that really doesn't help illustrate your point. Now, when it comes to rants and raves, I do love people's social media posts when they are badly spelled. When they have poor grammar, poor spelling, and you want me to take you seriously, it has the opposite effect. And that's actually why I spend very little time on social media. I will spend maybe, and I know that a lot of people downplay their social media usage, but I I am only on social media for about 5 minutes a day, and it's just to scroll kind of quick, get some updates, find out what's going on, laugh at the people who can't spell, laugh at the people who are always pissed off and always ranting about something. But definitely, that's why I don't like social media. I can't. You're stupid, your spelling sucks, and that's about it. Not everybody. Just those people know who they are. They do. And I don't know. People blame it and say, "Well, I was just typing so fast, and I didn't know how to." You didn't know how to spell. That's what it was. Just say it. You don't know how to spell. You don't. All right. So we're going to have a guest joining us in the next segment, Alex from Budsies. That was a company featured on Shark Tank. He's going to tell us about how we can get our hands on some really cool holiday gifts and what the experience was like on Shark Tank. We're back right after this.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-478-9568 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-478-9568. That's 800-478-9568.
If you are a fan of the show Shark Tank, like I am, you might recall our next guest. Alex Fermensky is the founder of Budsies, the company that basically makes stuffed animals of you and your family. He's on the line to tell us more about it. Hey, Alex.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, no problem. We're a fan of Budsies. I understand you're also kind of a fan of my books, which I love that.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Thanks so much. So take us back to the beginning. I know you told the story on Shark Tank, but in case anybody missed it, how did Budsies come about?
Sure. So I have a little sister, Michelle, and she would always come home from school and art camp and everything with her full drawing. And her drawing started on the fridge, and then they went on the wall. And then they got tossed in the basement, which is pretty sad, because that's like her creativity. She had the coolest doodles. And at the same time, she loved playing with stuffed animals. And so I had this weird, unique idea of, what if I could actually turn her doodles, her crazy drawings, into her own stuffed animals? And so I took a drawing of hers. It's called Dongler. It's this kind of red, pig-looking thing with this weird snout, and turned that drawing into a stuffed animal, and that was the very first Budsy. And Dongler's now our mascot, and now we're, about 13,000 Budsies in.
Wow. So, we've had a bunch of sharks on the show. They're guppies, though, in real life. They're not sharks, they're guppies. So, was the show, was it an intimidating process? Did you prepare well enough? What advice would you give somebody who wants to go on the show?
Oh, God. There was a lot of preparation. I watched 3 or 4 full seasons back-to-back. Had about a 6-page long sheet of facts and everything. So I'd say the biggest advice is twofold. One, pitch your idea to real investors before you pitch to the sharks. So the sharks are investors like everyone else. So actually pitch to a real VC or a real angel investor and have them point out all the flaws in your business plan so you know what to expect. And two is know your company inside and out. I mean, the sharks pretty much ask the same questions on every show, every episode. You know, what are your margins? What are your projections? What are your sales? Your income, etc. So have those things down to science, and you'll be fine. It was actually a great experience.
I mean, they do ask some tough questions. They do put you on the spot, maybe make you sweat a little bit. So one of the things that came up was the length of time that it takes to get a product that you order. So from that experience on the show, have you tightened things up? What have you changed? Anything in the business at all based on what they suggested or what they advised?
Yeah, so now we're actually down to about 4 weeks of turnaround. My goal is to 2.5 to 3 weeks. The very process to make a custom-made Buzzy. It requires a designer, a pattern maker, a cutter, a seamstress, a sewer, a stuffer, and then 2 rounds of quality control. So it's not something that we can quite do overnight. But I will say that we're launching a new product called the Creativity Kit, and this is a way that you can give the gift of Buzzies without having to actually order a Buzzy for someone. So you give them this kit. It has our Buzzies coloring book, Buzzies color pencils, Buzzies crayons, Buzzies sketchbook, etc., and a voucher to actually order a Buzzy. So this is something they could give to a friend, to a child, put it under the Christmas tree, etc., and make it an instant gift.
And really, when it comes to gifts, that it's more the thought that counts, right? Yes, you can get something made by the millions overseas and then just hand that to somebody, but really, there's a lot more effort and, let's say, love put into these products, right?
Well, exactly. Each one is truly unique and personalized. So it's like it's not a stuffed animal anymore. Like it's not a toy. It's something a lot more meaningful. The stories that we've heard from our customers have been incredible. We've had, children suffering from bipolar disorder, working with their doctor to create a Buzzy where one side is happy, one side is angry, and it's helped them get through their suffering. We've had just stories in the military where a family gets a selfie made of the father serving overseas, and now the child is able to hug their dad while he's away. So it's just the impact of stuffed animals is far more than any random plush toy you could find at Target.
So what is it that people are getting? A Buzzy of a loved one? It's of people, right? Or could you get if you wanted, let's say, a sun or a rainbow or a whale? I mean, people could get those made or no?
Oh yeah. So there's Buzzies and selfies and soon Pepsis. So Buzzies are actually drawings. So kids, adults, anyone can just take any drawing of any character, send it in, and we'll literally bring that character to life. So obviously we've had thousands of kids draw anything from unicorns to monsters to moons and suns to butterflies. We've had illustrators. So if you've written a book or you're a designer and you have a cool character that they want to bring to life, you can send that. We've had people send us photos of their video game characters. So like now with all these new video games like Minecraft, you can design your own character, so we give them a plush of that character. We've actually had someone send us a picture of a breakfast sandwich, and we turned the breakfast sandwich into plush. We've done it all. So that's Buzzies. And then selfies is you send us a photo of anyone, your husband, your wife, your boss that you love, your boss that you hate, if you're thinking making more like a voodoo doll, I guess. And we turn that person into a custom stuffed animal. So there, as I mentioned, we've done a lot of work with the military. We've had athletes. So if you're like a professional baseball player, you're off on the road, so now your family can hug you while you're away. We've done a lot of weddings where the bride and groom get selfies made of themselves and the wedding party. We've done corporate gifts. Anything you can think of. My personal favorite for that, though, is Halloween, where people send us photos of their kids in Halloween costumes, and those are just adorable.
All right. Well, you know what the cutest and the cuddliest ones are. It's that golden retriever and the lab cross that we have in the tuxedo. You remember those ones?
Of course. Those are really cool. Thank you so much for sending those. Those are so much fun to make because it's not just a pet. It was a pet in a tuxedo. and those dogs are really, really cute.
Well, now, the cool thing about this was going on the website, you submit a picture, and then it's like you're involved in the process. You're getting email updates throughout the way saying, you know, we've picked this, we're in this process now, we're in this stage. So there's anticipation that really builds along with it, isn't there?
Yeah. We found early on that consumers didn't like being in the dark for 3 or 4 weeks while they're buzzy with what's being made, and so now we try very hard to keep the customer involved every step of the way.
Well, let's talk about these Petsies, because that's what I was just describing. That's launching early in the new year, right?
That's right. We're doing our full launch in January 2016, but we are doing a few betas right now, and we're one of them, and people can sign up for those at buzzies.com/Petsies. We've made several betas already, everything from dogs to cats. We've done a lizard. We actually had a goose made. So this lady named Helga sent us a photo of her goose, and we turned her goose into a custom stuffed animal. And it was the best damn goose we ever made.
I was going to say stuffed goose. Maybe you could do a stuffed turkey for Thanksgiving, maybe, anything like that.
Too soon. That's funny.
You just remember, don't eat the Petsy. Don't eat the Petsy. So with the holidays coming up, people again would love to get their hands on a Budsy. So one more time, that address to get these cuddly things.
Sure. So it's buzzies.com. That's BUDSIES.com. And you'll see links there for Budsies, which is the stuffed animals of artwork, for Selfies, which is stuffed animals of people, and then, of course, Petsies, which are stuffed animal of your dogs, cats, and any pet you can imagine.
And we've got the pictures of my Ernie and Basil with their Petsies on our website, so check that out, jbonair.com, jbonair.com. Alex, well, thanks so much for giving me now even more pets to take care of. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Budsies, perfect holiday gift.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com on SoundCloud and iTunes. I've got a little bit more time to rant about the internet and social media. Now, Yahoo is my front page. I know people mock me in my office and laugh about that, but it used to be a very good website in terms of reference. Now I keep it because I like to do screenshots of all the spelling mistakes and the headlines on the front page. But what's interesting, though, is that on the right-hand side of these pages is you've got these like viral videos. And it's interesting because I don't know why they're viral. I don't know why, we can see the 7-second clip of people rushing to save a woman who is about to jump off a bridge. And of course, everybody's got their phones out, so on YouTube you can just search that and you'll see the exact thing play out from 8 different angles. But everything is news now. It'll be, watch this dog be afraid of his shadow. It's watch this kid run into a plate glass window and fall down. watch this person blow out the candles on the cake and the teeth will fall. If you think this is America's Funniest Home Videos in the year 2015, isn't it a little awkward that? But it's not that these videos are not entertaining. They are. They're good for a laugh. But the fact that they're on a news section, or it'll be, woman throws hot coffee at man in restaurant was one that I saw the other day. And I'm sitting there going, why is this 40-second clip news? Is this just egging people on to misbehave and then have their 15 minutes of shame on the internet? Like, what is there's no news value to this. If you think about it, the 6 o'clock news, to our youngsters that are listening, the 6 o'clock news was something that people would watch for an hour in the evening. They would call it the supper time news when you'd eat at home with your family. You'd watch the news and you'd see a summary of what's happened in your city and what's happening around the country and around the world. Now that's called just going on Facebook or reading it on Twitter. But it's where was I going with this one? I'm totally lost now. But yes, so if they reported everything on the news that this person narrowly missed getting hit by a car on Main Street, or and you can laugh, but these are the videos that are featured on a front page of Yahoo.com. Like, it's very bizarre. Now, again, I'm not blaming Yahoo, because obviously people are wanting to see clips of this, so that is definitely saying something about society and the visitors to such websites and pages. And if that's what people are wanting, well, that's what you give them. So you don't blame the website, you just blame society for having really weird taste in videos these days, or content anyway. You go on YouTube or these other websites now, and people are recording street fights. Or they're recording somebody getting their ass kicked. Or they're recording animals getting beaten. Or they're recording animals eating each other in the wild. And I get it. I get that, we used to watch nature films on VCR back in the day when I was in elementary school. And I never liked, why? I get that an animal's going to eat another animal. I don't need to see it stalking. I don't need to see it killing. But we're such a violent society. I'm not even going to get into the whole gun thing. That's just, I'm Canadian, first off, so I have a completely different opinion. No, I've actually got a similar opinion to what Americans do, I guess, these days. But I don't find much of the content online to be entertaining. Like I said, you had a 40-second clip of a woman dumping hot coffee on a guy's head in a restaurant because they had a dispute about a chair at a restaurant. That's what's making news. And, again, I think it's just saying something about where we are headed as a society. Now, let's look at it this way. We can blame social media. We can blame those obnoxious cell phones that I talked about earlier. But it's this be seen and be famous world that we live in. And it's refreshing when I hear that there are people who are not on social media. I would love to find out what percentage of kids, 13 to 18 are on social media. I'm guessing it's probably close to 90%, if not more. If you know this statistic, I would love to hear from you. Of course, use social media to find out. And send me an email, live@jbonair.com. But I also feel very old school when I say things like that, because it used to be that you would call to get information for a place. Then maybe you would go to their website. Then maybe you would email. And now you're hearing that these kids don't even want to email. They tweet you, or they'll text you, or they'll inbox you. I didn't know what inbox me meant. Inbox me? Well, people would say email me, or send me an email, or text me, but now that's inbox. Not message me, not send me a message, write me a note, it's inbox me. I'm just not cool. I'm 33 years old, I feel like I'm 60. No, there's even some 60-year-olds that are ahead of it. Bonnie Winters, our producer, is in her 60s, and she's much more into social media than I am. But I think that if you have that reluctance to jump on the bandwagon and be part of this, then it is different for you. I was very late coming onto Facebook, and as I mentioned last week, I still don't put things about my social life, or my personal life anyway, just because I don't think that you care. I will absolutely put what's coming up on our show this week, or what costumes we have my dogs in, or things like that for work, but I don't know. In my house, we're almost out of time, but very quickly, my house, my blinds are closed. I keep it just very quiet and private. Like, I don't feel that there needs to be this intrusive element to your life. Keep people away, keep people at a distance, and then let them in as something that's something nice to do when you feel comfortable enough with them. All right, I don't know what that meant. Hey, but speaking of Twitter,
we hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
My thanks to Alex from Budsies. Check it out, budsies.com. And again, we've got those pictures of my dogs in their costumes with their petsies. It's jbonair.com if I'm not mistaken, or you can go to our website, thescribbleshow.com. We'll make sure that we have those on there as well. Do we have some celebrity guests joining us next week? I'm not sure. You will just have to stay tuned to find out. I love hearing from you. We're on Twitter at The Scribble Show, as you just heard, and feel free to email me anytime, live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,